guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to talk about situations in which you should not push. Furthermore, I will tell you how you can assess when this is the case. If you're interested in more reviews and gameplay, go to YouTube and search for World of Tanks with Bruce to get all of my videos, or click on the subscribe button. And now, let's go. In World of Tanks, we always want to win games. Most of the times, the team which pushes and wins a flank wins the game. Now, sometimes there are situations in which you should not push. In fact, lots of players simply play the same position over and over again and push to that same position no matter how the game develops. This will for sure lead to bad results and frustration. In this video, I will offer you a little guide about when not to push. Furthermore, I will tell you how you can make an assessment and how you can discover situations in which you should rather fall back and defend instead of pushing a flank. As you know, and as you could see in my map tutorials, on almost every map there is a strategic position that you want to reach and dominate in order to win the battle. However, sometimes your team does not play as it should and does not allow to win or even to play this strategic position. In such a case, you need to adapt your gameplay. Now, the question is, how can you see whether you can push into a position or not? Well, first of all, you have to assess which enemy tanks you will most likely encounter on the part of the map where you want to play. For this assessment, you have to know, for example, the hull down capabilities of each tank, the speed, and also the armor. So the strength of those tanks, because those properties will either give tanks the opportunity to play certain positions or vice versa, limit them. So this is what you have to assess at the beginning of the game. Then next is, you want to look at the composition of your own team to see how many tanks will most probably join you on the way to your desired position. Sometimes it helps to indicate your team what your plan is. Maybe you can convince one or another teammate to join you, or at least influence their playstyle. So you need to assess the enemy team, then you need to assess your own team. And step 3 is, once driving towards your desired position, you have to pay attention to what your own team is doing. Try to have a close look onto the minimap to see whether the tanks that you counted on are playing as they are supposed to. One thing is to make an assessment at the first 30 seconds prior to the start of the game, but then you have to re-evaluate whether your assessment was right and whether your own team is supporting you and whether the enemy team does what you suspected. Now, step 4 is to closely pay attention to what the enemy team is doing. Closely monitor whether an enemy tank is spotted or not. This is indicated by the yellow bulb on the right upper corner, as you might know. If an enemy tank is spotted, try to look at the minimap to see whether this tank is one of those tanks you counted in your mental calculation, whether he is heading to your desired position or not. Once again, this calculation of the enemy tanks and your tanks is crucial to finally come to step 5, or to finally conduct step number 5. After you know exactly how many tanks of your own team join you and roughly how many enemy tanks you will encounter on the position that you want to play, you need to assess the firepower of all those tanks. So, are you and your teammates top tier, low tier? Do you have an autoloader tank with you? Do you have better armor in general compared to the enemy tanks, and so on and so forth? So you have to compare your strength, so the strength of you and your teammates, versus the strength of all the enemy tanks which are pushing towards the position. Now, there might be still a question mark of how many enemy tanks are pushing into the position, but that's just the risk you are taking. So obviously you can be more on a conservative side and maybe expect one or another tank that you have no indication of. And finally, if you think you are superior, then simply press, play aggressively and try to win the position as soon as possible, because chances are that your team is under pressure on the other flank of the map. If you think it will be somewhat equal, then continue. However, approach the desired position and try to make smart trades to outplay your opponents. And if you think you will be inferior, well then retreat, don't go to the position, and this is very important, let your teammates know that you are retreating. This is very crucial. And then what you can do is try to find a suitable defensive position from which you can hold the flank even though you and your teammates are inferior. Yeah, so this is the theory behind it, and now let's jump into some gameplays in which we actually see some situations and kind of do it in the replays. Alright, first game, this time in tier 8 heavy tank, the T26E5. We're spawning on Malinovka in the north. And let's now take a look at how the map can be played and how I would how I would expect the map to be played. Spawning on Malinovka in the north, the map is usually played like this. So heavy tanks usually go to the hill and try to win the hill, which is pretty important on this map. Sometimes you get support of a tank destroyer, and keep in mind in this game we have an Ferdinand in our team, which is, let's say, yeah, I would consider to be a heavily armored tank destroyer, although it does have quite some weak spots. But anyways, if I was playing this tier 8 German tank destroyer, I would even support my heavy tanks on the hill. So this is what I would expect from this game. Now, medium tanks usually play more or less defensively here in the middle, try to spot, try to get some shots maybe on the light tanks or on the tank destroyer. The tank destroyers usually play in the south, maybe also in the middle, and our light certainly wants to go to the south and spot the southern part. Now, if you don't know about this position, then check out my light tank tutorial, but also my map strategy or my map tutorial, in which I show you how to play Malinovka from the north with a light tank. Now, so this is how I would think that this map is played. And let's now take a look what happens in the game. Okay, so yeah, this is how I would expect our team to behave on this map, and let's now see what happens. So obviously I tell my heavy tanks to go to the north, because I think we have a pretty good setup. We have the Knaven, which is a hull down monster. My tank is pretty good at playing hull down, plus the AMX M4 does have a pretty strong armor. And the enemy team does have an AMX 5100, which is pretty strong because you can clip out a whole tier 8 tank. However, its armor is pretty weak, and so we will be able to win the north if we go there. So looks like the AMX, well, he's in a platoon with the Knaven, and his teammate went to the south, all the way to the south. And so yeah, this is the situation. Now the enemy light tank has advanced pretty in a very strong position, I would say. So, but yeah, I'm concerned about what's going on the map. So let's pause here and let's take a look at what is happening. Okay, so this is what actually happened right now. So looks like the AMX M4, which went to this position, is actually falling down and changing the flank towards his platoon mate down to the south. So the only tanks which are going to the north, to the hill, is myself and the 112. So do you really think that our two heavy tanks can hold up against maybe 4 heavy tanks, maybe also the what is it, the Czechoslovakian tank destroyer, the SHPTK TVP, which I would assume to support the heavy tanks in the north, without having any tank destroyer sitting in the back which can support us. No, obviously we will not be able to do this. We will not be able to win the hill in such a situation, because all of our team went to the south, and it is questionable whether we get support from the medium tanks which are situated right here. So in my opinion, this is a very, very clear situation in which you should not push, because you will be overwhelmed. You will not be able to win the flank, and in such a situation it does not make sense to push to the position where you want to go, even if this position is crucial for winning the map. So instead, we need to set up a defensive gameplay in this forest here, and set up a defensive line, and so the MX will retreat from this area. So what we could do is, go to the forest like this, and play here with my T26 E5 and with the 112. Maybe we get some support of the medium tanks going also towards this forest here, to maybe outspot the advancing heavy tanks from the enemy team, and then defend the northern flank as good as we can. Alright, so this is what is happening. The MX M449 is basically changing the flank. And so this is a good example for a situation in where you have to change your mind, you have to change your plans, and you have to adjust your game plan and your gameplay basically to the situation you are encountering. So what I'm trying here is I'm knocking down the trees to set up a defensive position. Now there's no support whatsoever, but fortunately the Lorraine 40T is on our side. Nice, maybe he can spot for us heavy tanks, and we will just have to wait here and have to set up a defensive position and see how it goes. I think the location of the ELC even 90 is brilliant because he can spot all the south, so maybe our team is lucky with, you know, not losing all of its HP in the very first minutes of the game. And looks like our yeah, I'm asking the Lorraine to spot for us, but unfortunately he's moving away. Well, he's moving towards the building, which is, well, not a spotting position because there's no bush besides the building. However, well, we'll see. I certainly want him to fall back into our position and go to maybe the position where I knocked down the trees at the very let's see. He's not falling back, so that's very unfortunate. And yeah, we'll see how the southern push actually goes. The Ferdinand is okay. That is super stupid gameplay by the Ferdinand. He's pushing towards the open field down at the E5 position, and he will certainly be taken out soon, very soon. But let's concentrate back onto our game. Here's what is happening. Nice, we get a first shot on the T75 TS. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we will not get spotted and simply wait. Now unfortunately the Lorraine 40T has basically thrown away half of its HP and is now falling back, which is very unfortunate. Now what I would do if I was the ELC even 90, I would maybe turn around and spot for us two heavies, because keep in mind we still expect the MX-50, the IS-22 and also the Skoda T56 to advance via the hill. So most of the enemy strength is currently situated at the hill in the north, so maybe at the A0 position somewhere there. And so our team has to make sure that we are encountering those tanks from an advantageous position. So yeah, but unfortunately, oh, now maybe the Stritzwagen S1 is going to spot. He will certainly be able to outspot the enemy heavy tanks, which is great. Let me see. I hope he was not spotted. moving into this bush to the knockdown tree, which is great. Hopefully he does not shoot. So we just want to make sure that we get shots on the advancing IS-22, which is nice. Now we shot, and I think he is spotted, and so let's see how it goes. We can now, yeah, he's now receiving shots from all the other heavy tanks, and he's taken now, which is very unfortunate. But at least we could take out the IS-22, and now the enemy team only has 3 more heavy tanks. One of them being the E75TS, and the 112 is advancing, and so I want to support him, because I think if he is taken out by 3 of the enemy heavy tanks, then we will not have a chance to win the northern portion. And the E75 has already dropped down, so we only might, here he is, maybe we can get another shot, and then we certainly need to turn around to face, yeah, here we go, the Skoda T56, which is already spotted at the top of the hill. Nice, he's taken out, so now it's only a 2 versus 2, and now the game is 10 versus 6, so it is pretty much, I wouldn't say won, but we certainly have an advantage, because I still expect the AMX 50-100 to be at the position where the T56 is. And so, here we go. Okay, so it's okay, now it's 11 versus 6, so the game is won. And now the only thing I can do is yeah, I can try to play against the T56. He has shot 1 time, so my DPM is superior compared to him. So I want to use this advantage and just move forward. Now I bounced the shot, which is very unfortunate. Okay, RNG brings me back into the game with this sweet hit. Okay, I think it was a mistake to bounce another shot in the lower hull. Okay, okay, here you can see how we could actually penetrate this tank. Obviously, he is pretty good at playing hull down. Now we cannot even hit the cupola, at least if we are driving, because our aiming circle blooms out. But okay, that was very unfortunate. But the idea I had was to out DPM this tank and to reduce its HP as much as I can to give my team a definite advantage once they are pushing this tank. Now I could bump up my damage to 2.4k damage, which is nice, and I think I made at least an okay job of reducing the HP of the Skoda T56, and now my team can finish him off, and we'll see how it goes. But what I wanted to tell you with this gameplay is, yes, there might be a strategic position, and yes, you might be able to win this position if you take a look at the team composition right at the beginning of the game, but once things change, once your team does not play as you would expect it, you have to adjust your gameplay. This is crucial if you want to have more success in World of Tanks, and this is exactly what we did in this game. And yes, you know, the medium tanks flamed around, telling us to go to the hill and telling us that we were camping, but we did that on purpose because it was necessary to win the northern flank. Alright, second game. This time we're spawning on Studzianki in the west in a medium tank, and once again let's take a look at the map and see what I would expect our team to do spawning on this map in the west. Spawning on Studzianki in the west, this is how I would expect this game to start. So I would expect our, let's say, heavily armored heavy tanks to go to this position and brawl here against the heavily armored heavy tanks of the enemy team. Now, what I would do if I was playing lightly armored heavy tanks like the MX 50-100 and the WoT 54 with decent mobility, I would support my team in the south, and I would expect at least 4 of our medium tanks to push down to the south and win the strategic position, which is this ditch down here in the south. Now, obviously, the enemy forces could have the same game plan, so we have to pay attention to what is happening. But this is what I would suggest for our team, because once again, this is the strategic position. From this ditch, you can get crossfire towards the middle, towards the heavy tanks, towards from this position towards the tanks which are hiding behind this building. And if you've won the ditch and the south, you can keep advancing like this into the enemy base and thus win the game. Alright, so this is exactly what we are going to do. We are trying to win the southern portion of the map because this is the strategic position of the map. And if you win the southern ditch, then chances are that you will win the game. So we want to go there and want to push and win the south. Obviously we are in a medium tank, which is great for pushing there. The WoT is obviously faster. And now let's see how it goes. Okay, great. Our EBR 75 is already dead, which is bad. And yeah, do you see the same as I do looking at the minimap? So you know what, let's pause here and analyze the game. Now this is unfortunately what is happening right now. So our WoT 54 is going to the north, completely lost in space. We have no tank destroyers here. However, 2 of our medium tanks chose to not push down to the south, instead camping here. And so the WoT has already gone down to the ditch. Our light tank has already been killed, and so the enemy light tank will certainly go down the ditch, down like this. And so this is the situation now. Well, actually the light tank is already down the ditch, and this is the position of the medium tank of the FV, which already managed to go there. And so we will certainly be outnumbered here in this position. So the question is, can we go where we usually go and where we wanted to go, because it is the strategic position? And the answer clearly is no, we cannot. We have to adjust our game plan. And the only thing we can do is we can discontinue our game plan and simply fall back behind this town here into those bushes. And in those bushes we can at least try to support our team and not get spotted once the enemy team is advancing. What will sure happen in a bit is the enemy team will advance like this, and from a position maybe here we can support our team by getting crossfire towards those advancing tanks. So yeah, so as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tanks, 8 enemy tanks down here in the south. So good for us that we analyzed the game and that we were able to change our plans, because we always want to adjust our gameplay to the situation which is happening happening on the battlefield. And so yeah, good on us, bad on Mr. WoT, because he is already taken out of the game, which is clearly a disadvantage. Now it's 0-2. We already lost a very strong medium tank and also our light tank, which is very bad. By the way, if you want to know how to play weird light tanks, then check out my tutorial. Yeah, now it is simply time to stop the enemy advance here in the south and to make sure that we don't get spotted. So what we want to do is we want to fall back into the bushes so that the bushes are not transparent anymore, because if they are, you will get spotted once you shoot. If they are not transparent, you shoot, you will not get spotted. This is how World of Tanks works. And so let's see how we can support our team now. Obviously the IS-6 will not be able to go back all the way. Now the 2 medium tanks looks like they are very weak players, so obviously they didn't pay attention to the minimap and did not fall back, and so they are still in this risky position. Well, the WoT 46 at least then managed to fall back. But what we want to do is we want to support our team with crossfire towards the advancing tanks. Okay, that was pretty badly aimed, but I think we need to fall back, because chances are that, yeah, we are now spotted. But now we can fall back into cover behind this building, which is great, and we already made 1000 damage and supported our team. And I think we are doing an important job here to yeah, hold the enemy advance and to take as many hit points from the enemy team as we can. So let's see, the FV is behind the building right now. Now obviously we will not be able to spot the enemy team, because if we spot them, we will not be able to take a shot. And if we take a shot on the enemy FV, here go, nice. And if we get spotted, we will not survive. So we have to still play cautiously, sorry. And just play safe, be in the bushes, let our teammates spot. Here you go, and just delete HP of the enemy team to keep the game as close as we possibly can. We already made 1900 damage, which is great. Our two medium tank unicums are already taken out of the game. No surprise here. And maybe the IS-6 can hold the flank and spot. However, he is certainly not the best spotter, but the game is still pretty close. By the way, the WoT 54 was taken out of the game pretty early. And so, yeah, and just another unicum on our team. But that's how it is. So the game is relatively close. Looks like the enemy team has stopped the advance. And now the question is, what can we do? We can certainly stay here, however we will not have the surprising factor on our side, so I'm thinking about changing the flanks and moving towards the northern flank, because once the enemy team is advancing, as you can see, we don't have any tank in the north, and once the enemy team is advancing to, let's say, the A2 or A3 or B2, B3 position, we don't have a chance, because we will be taken under fire from behind, which is obviously how you lose games, right? So what, can we get a shot on the T103? So this is my, yeah, they are pinging the map in the north, which is correct. And once we lose the north, the position of the heavy tanks is also lost. So in my opinion, it is a good gameplay to win the north, at least to hold the north. But I'm the only tank there, so that is a problem now. Looks like there's still a WoT, however he could have advanced, so maybe he has fallen back, because he might also only be the only tank on his flank. Now I can still take 2 shots. Well, actually no. You know what, I will try to advance and see what I can do. So I will not peek out on top of the hill, because that is too risky. But I will just, you know, drive close enough to see whether I get spotted or not. So let's see how it goes. There's the WoT, one of the 2 WoT in the south. Yeah, which is understandable. The problem is that now, once we've lost all of our medium tanks besides me, we don't have any spotting capability in the south, which is bad. And that's just how it is. So let's see. Okay, yeah, he just took a shot. The T-28 will follow soon, so we have to fall back. And now the only thing we can do is play hull down and use the strong turret of the CS-52 Liz to compete against those tanks. Now I'm loading premium ammunition. Yes, we're bouncing a shot. Nice. And unfortunately, we're bouncing the lower hull of the T-28, the heavily armored tank destroyer, which I made a video about, so feel free to check it out. Now I made a guide about playing heavily armored tank destroyers, but also about a dedicated video about the T-28 that you can also check out. So maybe that's what you want to do. And let's see, I will try to bait a shot from those tanks and fall back, you know, peek out, fall back, so that, here you go, here's shot. And so nice, I can get a shot on the T-103. Now here's shot, so we want to now once again bait a shot from the T-28. Okay, and that did not work out, unfortunately, and I missed this shot. Okay, too bad. Now we've completely lost the southern flank. I think we cannot win the game, however, and I think we are trapped. But you know, losing the game was actually foreseeable, because we lost the strategic position of this map at the very beginning of the game. I think our medium tanks were pretty weak players, so the chance of losing was even higher, and that's just how it is in World of Tanks. So, but we made nice. Oh, okay, come on, we bounced this shot and get a shot from the T-103. Very, very, very unfortunate. And now we're taken out by the Bros. Okay, but we made 2,200 damage, and I could show you that you have to change your gameplay once your team does not behave as it is supposed to. And with paying attention at the minimap and with changing your gameplay and your plan, you can even if your team sucks and does not play the important positions, even then you can have a decent result. I think 2,200 damage in a game like this is a decent result, and so that is what I always would recommend for you if you're playing World of Tanks. Have a game plan in mind, but be able to adjust if things are not running as they are supposed to do. Alright guys, that was it for today with a little guide on when not to push. What do you think about this topic? Are you aware of when you can make pressure and when not? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.